Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Commanders. Welcome to the Year of Hell. It is 2025, a brand new year inside of Star Trek Fleet Command. And, of course, this month, we are coinciding and celebrating Voyager's 30th anniversary. My name is UltimatDJz. This is Teaching Trek, and this is all the information that you need to know leading up to today's Arcfall. It is the Year of Hell arc. We're bringing in the story of the Krenim time ship. There will be new Krenim invading entities, so alarm bells should be sounding that these will be unaffected by Armada officers and only affected by the same set as we had last time. Plus, the newer officers that have invading entities specifically mentioned in their description. More on this coming up. New officers, a new double loop in one. Yes, go ahead, jump for joy. A new faction store and a new building. First, let's check officers as per usual. You got the battleship targeting crew this month, which was to be expected, and sadly, not even that interesting. Other than the characters themselves, in which case they are cool. Your epic this month is Specialist 7 of 9, which is practically identical to any of the other newer strike teams, which is Captain's Maneuver, increasing shots for 5 rounds if the enemy has hull breach, and the officer ability having a percentage chance to apply hull breach for 2 rounds, starting at 60% and maxing at 100%. You also have 2 rares this month, as expected. Ichev is the first one, who is a beloved character, and he's got an officer ability when hitting a player who has hull breach. Increase your Apex armor by 3,000, maxing at 12,500 for 4 rounds. Unfortunately, his below deck ability is somewhat odd. If on a ship with no applied state, fighting a player in PvP, you'll increase ISO damage by 30% at Tier 1 up to 140% at Tier 5. At the time of taping and at the time that we previewed this arc, we expressed that this below-deck ability has absolutely no purpose in the game, as someone is going to throw a status on you practically 100% of the time. And note, this does include Assimilate. Unlike previous months, rares having an interesting below-deck ability, this one kind of looks like hot garbage. Your other officer is Infiltrator Tuvok, and he has an officer ability that triggers when you apply hull breach to another player. Tuvok will increase ISO damage by 26% up to 65% for 3 rounds. He does not specifically say Cascade, but all previous officers to, in fact, increase isolated damage have increased Cascade. So that is our assumption here. We will need to test. His below deck, unfortunately, is the same, though, as Ichev. If that you are on a ship with no applied state and fighting an enemy player, then it will increase your Apex barrier by 3,000 up to 25,000. Again, this is going to need to be changed if these offers are to have any value in the game below decks. Unlike previous months, these officers may only serve on the bridge, as their BDAs are non-existent scenarios as of now. Looking at you, Scopely, for improvements to these officers, because right now the value does not appear to be there. Regarding officer sourcing on the Epic 7 of 9, at the time of taping, we are unable to confirm the return of the heroic Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 solo milestones. They told us they weren't going to write it that way this month, but we have encouraged them to reconsider. We do not know at this time what decision they have made. Now, let's move forward and take a look at this new double loop I was talking about earlier. As if one loop isn't enough, this is a new loop involving new hostiles that are Krenim themed, but they are different. They have different states. These states are static and charged, and in order to combat them, you'll need a counter exocomp to fight them. That's right, yes, you heard it. You cannot fight them without the anti-charged or anti-static exocomps. These invading entities will have a new cost, a new directive called Temporal Incursion Directives, and that's the end of things that are the same. It is literally 2 loops. They each drop different loot, static loot, and charged loot. Also, unlike any other solo armada in the game, this one will allow you to bring 2 ships. Not 1, not 3, but only 2. Does that sound like it may be possible for a ship that may be coming in the near future? Perhaps so, since we have also confirmed that the Armada tank ship recently released, the Vindicator, will not function against these targets. The static hostiles have a 50-round limit, and the charged hostiles have a 30-round limit. These new systems will be located at the edge of the Delta Quadrant. You'll be able to exchange each set of loot for static and charged credits that will then be used to exchange for different sets of rewards and reputation within the new faction. Speaking of this new faction, we will have the introduction of the Department of Temporal Investigations faction, or DTI for short. That's what we'll be calling it. And this store will have a daily claim that will provide Krenim directives and the exocomps needed to fight the invading entities. Regarding the rewards, there will be a little overlap, but most of the rewards are exclusive to either charged or static loot stores. There will also be favors available that include some boons inside the double loop, and then some that are generic for the rest of the game, including Apex Barrier in PvE, Reputation, and some FKR favor cost deficiencies as well. There will be new artifacts exclusive to these double loops, including the Krenim Time Weapon and Janeway's Pocket Watch, and 2 new Chaos techs, including the Temporal Overdrive Matrix and the Chronophage. There will also be some officer shards, including Viel, Tolra, Toli, Beer, and a few others, including Borg Q. We will see a few other options in there, as well as export credits, Syndicate XP, and a couple of other items as well. Taking a look at the DTI building, we actually do see some interesting buffs in this building, 6 of them to be exact, making it appear that it could possibly be worth tearing up at first glance. You will need to be Ops 42 to unlock this building, but then if we examine the buffs, they will include increasing Apex Barrier in PvP, increasing Isolatic Defense and damage, increasing officer stats, increasing broken ship parts acquisition, and increasing damage versus the Krenim enemies. The building will max out at level 70. One other minor little thing that may be interesting to a handful of you is a material converter. Finally, we get this in the game. Only 6 years in. We will have G4, G5, and G6 material converters. You will be able to not only trade evenly, as in a G5 rare ore could be converted to G5 rare gas, but you can also trade up from uncommon to rare to epic. At this time, you will not be able to trade up in grade, so no G4 going to G5, for example. The first question I had was regarding a tax on this, and the good news is that there is a way to avoid the currency conversion tax by single pulling this chest. It will have a 24-hour cooldown, but if you want to fast track it, you'll end up paying taxes on a double pull, and even more on a triple pull. But how slow will that be? At the time of taping, we did not have the exact quantities of materials available in the converter, and we presume that these quantities will vary by the level of the building, but could be wrong on that. We'll have to do some testing and find out. The cooldown combined with the tax on the second and third bundle pulls is definitely going to leave a bad taste for most players, but at least there is a tax-free option, even if it is very slow. Let's revisit those artifacts and chaos techs again very quickly. We talked about the Krenim Time Weapon. It's an artifact that will increase damage to armadas and invading entities by a percentage from level 1 to level 12. Janeway's Pocket Watch will decrease your opponent's ISO damage in PvP as long as they have any state. This starts at 4% and will go up to 40%. It is important to note that this is not an increase in isolatic defense, but a reduction of their isolatic damage. There is a difference if you can recall the isolatic formula that we were introduced to so many months ago. The 2 new Chaos techs are Temporal Overdrive Matrix, which will increase Apex Barrier in PvE, increase critical damage against armadas and invading entities, and increasing shield repair at the start of battle in PvE. This is an interesting phrase since it's coupled with at the start of battle and not at the start of each round. We are going to keep an eye on this one and test it to see how it's going to play out, but I suspect we have a tooltip error here, and we'll find out more as we are able to provide you with that science. Lastly, you've got the Chronophage Chaos Tech, which is entirely PvP, and none of the abilities will fire unless your hull is under 40%. Those 3 abilities will be increasing shots by a percentage repairing your shield by a percentage, and decreasing your opponent's isolytic defense by a percentage. Regarding Battle Pass rewards this month, you will still have choice tokens, so that's nice. And in the most exciting thing this month, perhaps the bright spot of the entire arc, is that you will be able to earn one of the 2 rares this month absolutely free. This is going to come in a series of events, and you will not know which rare you're pursuing. You will follow the missions. You will make decisions. You will follow a story narrative, and an officer will result in your decision making. Shout out to the event writer this month for starting 2025 with a rare officer that can be earned free to play. More information will come on this event during week 2. Another new style of event you'll see this month are fixed time-based upgrade events for the new DTI building. What I mean is that when you unlock a certain level, a new heroic solo milestone will pop that gives you a certain period of time to reach the next set of levels. If you level up within the specified time frame, you'll earn additional rewards, which will include Mirror Picard, Mirror Data, and a handful, and Alexander Dane as well. Some other officer shards there as well. Basically, it's an old school building rush event, if you recall those from way back in the day. There will also be a new event called Perfection Pursuer, which is a month-long meta, and the required SMSs will be marked. 100% completion is required in these, but you'll look forward to some cooler rewards at the end of the month, including a bunch of Sorin or Starfleet Q shards, or perhaps even a half of an unlock of Voyager if you're a newer player who doesn't yet have that ship. There will also be some Mirror Premium Dust available as well. And if you miss a solo milestone, you can make up the points by placing top 10 in a marked solo leaderboard. This is all we have for you right now. It is the year of hell, kicking off 2025, and this cat sure hopes that that is not an omen for the entire year here inside Star Trek Fleet Command, but a celebration of the 30th anniversary of Voyager, and honestly, one of the most interesting stories that Voyager was ever able to tell. Hopefully, this arc will reflect that level of interest that we had during the Voyager run, and we'll look forward to seeing how the events play out. Regarding the double loop, well, that is not exciting to this guy, but hopefully the rewards will make that chore worth it. Time will tell later on this month. What do you think, Commanders? Leave your comments and your questions down in the comments section below, and we'll do our best to answer those throughout the day. And as always, we thank you for subscribing, liking, sharing, clicking that bell, smashing the thumbs up, doing all the things to help us with engagement. We appreciate that so very much. My name is UltimatDJz. I'm your friendly neighborhood cat person saying meow for now. Love you, minute, and we'll catch you on the next one. Y'all take care. Meow.